Okay, guys. So this was my second attempt with this video, and I just had to redo it because I came on and I was like coughing, and that's just, I can't. I can't. I hope that you all are doing well, whoever happens to be with me in this present moment, whenever you happen to see this video, because no matter when you see it, this is definitely a private conversation between you and I, soul to soul. So here we are, and the topic is grief and suffering. So there's a few different ways I wanted to go about having this talk. But one thing I don't want is to hit all of these abstract points or all of these, like, the five stage of grieving, and like that's not what we're doing here. That's not what's happening right now today. um, I guess I guess what I will say though is that the channeling for this is very much so clear from coming from my highest self. So it's good to know that that is the case so I can begin just comfortably, because sometimes doing this work could be really nerve-wracking, honestly. Getting up on any platform, especially one where you have countless videos, kind of like bearing your soul to the world, knowing that it's going to be there and people can watch it and people can, interact with your energy the way that they, whatever way that they may feel like they want to. It's all this weird stuff. But aside from that, we're just going to get into the energy of the topic. I'm a person who gets very anxious, so I really have to like force my breathing to slow my heart rate and things of that nature. And y'all just gotta bear with me when I do that. So, guys, the reason I wasn't even gonna do this talk tonight, I was actually gonna do it perhaps tomorrow night or the night after. Um, But you know what? Like I just felt it was the perfect time because as I'm lying here, resting myself and just kind of allowing my mind to meditate, what I do every night. Um, I couldn't help but notice, and I've noticed this all day. Like I take a medication like once a week that makes me feel like pretty sick the day that I take it. And I thought that that was the feeling that I was like feeling at the pit of my stomach, like this really icky, kind of like sicky feeling that makes me feel like I want to throw up. And that is a side effect. The medication is literally like a pill form of chemotherapy. So it makes you feel pretty sick. But this feeling that I'm feeling, it's not quite that. It's something else because it's traveling. It's sort of traveling from my solar plexus up through my heart chakra to my throat chakra, and it keeps just traveling from my throat to my like solar plexus, and it just kind of feels like it's funny because right now I'm getting a vision. I'm so grateful for it too because it's gonna help the like just the visual be a lot clearer maybe. But if anybody has seen Men in Black, I don't know which Men in Black it was. Probably like three of them, so I don't know which one it was. But was it Men in Black? It was a film. It could have been The Matrix. I just know, yeah, it was both of them. It was Men in Black and The Matrix. So in The Matrix, when Trinity like pulls some type of like bug out of Neo, some bug that they had implanted in him, that's what it feels like. Like something is inside of me that is like art. Like I wouldn't say artificial, but it just doesn't belong. It's like not a part of me. And if it is a part of me, it's like begging to like come out or like escape. And if in the other vision that I'm getting of like Men in Black, I think the creature in the movie was like throwing up a bunch of slugs. Or no, it wasn't Men in Black. It was oh my gosh, this is crazy. It's actually Harry Potter when dude cursed him and like he started puking up all those slugs. Like he sent him a spell that made him puke up slugs. And like that's what I'm like, it's this slow dragging, just gloopy, heavy feeling that's like trying to glide its way through my like those little three chakras. And it's just been a strange feeling. So what I'm a part of it, I think, is trapped grief. A part of it, I think, is some other things. But let's just jump into the topic of grief and suffering, okay? Let's just get into it because I don't want to distract too much away from the point of this entire thing, right? Even if the conversation is getting a little fun. So, grief and suffering. This is something that enlightened me when I began my quest on the eightfold path of Buddhism when I was a young scholar in high school, a young freshman scholar. Um, I I really resonated with the I'm not going to get too much into Buddhism as a practice, but I will talk a little bit about the relationship with grief and suffering that I think is has been probably the most influential um, feeling, emotion, uh, or experience. I'll call it an experience. Grief and suffering is truly an experience, but it's the one that has affected my life the most, influenced my life the most, and I do truly believe that it's an experience that shapes everybody's lives the most, is the entire most, right? So in the last talks, I touched a little bit on everybody, all of us being souls that are here with different soul missions to basically fulfill whatever it is that our soul is needing for itself, right? So, with that being said, okay, grief and suffering, it's like it's like so many things are popping into my head. It's like tough love. It's like a good friend. It's that it's like a help me out with this spirit. I've been having a little bit of trouble with my throat chakra today. Grief and suffering is like that friend that that's coming to give you tough love, and I'm not going to make it sound fluffy and light and beautiful because it's not. It's dark and it's heavy and it's ugly and it's excruciating. It fades us or it strengthens us, or sometimes it fades us then strengthens us. And sometimes it does both over and over again. But strangely enough, that's the thing that I find most beautiful about pain and suffering, because once you feel it intensely enough, it almost forces you to make a decision about yourself, about your life, about the experience in that very moment. What relationship will you allow it to will you allow yourself to have with it? What effect will you allow it to have on you in the present and moving into the future? So sometimes it catches us by surprise, of course, sometimes it comes in slow. None of that really matters with what I'm saying. I'm more so driving on the point of it making you make a decision about yourself and about your life. If there's anybody out there right now who's listening to this and you have felt or is feeling an intense amount of grief or suffering, you're being, I truly believe that you may be being forced by your soul, by your highest self, the part of you that is connected to this realm, to this planet, right? It's asking you to make a decision about what you will accept, what you will, how you will let it affect you. It's I'm one of those. I'm a person who really has. I believe in like endured enough suffering and like grief in my life and in my past lives to where I've officially gotten to the point where it literally will never have the same effect on me probably ever again. And I think that the best way I can describe it is, like when somebody gets hurt so much, or maybe someone gets hit so many times, or burns themselves so many times, they start to lose feeling, or not even lose feeling. That's not what I mean. It's more so like they begin to almost like feel the pain differently. They feel different sensations. They might start feeling cool feelings, prickly feelings, stinging feelings, sharp feelings, warm, all these different sensations. And they figure out what it means to them. And it really is like a mastery of the senses, because if you think about it, grief and suffering, I called it an experience. The reason I called it an experience is because I view these are all my thoughts and my view, by the way. So keep that in mind. I'm not trying to make this the case for everyone, even though it pretty much is the case for everyone. Everyone just doesn't feel the same way, maybe, whatever. I don't care about those people. I'm just giving my perspective here. So, how I view myself, how I view life is me, a soul, right? Here, I'm borrowing a body, I'm borrowing this voice, I'm borrowing everything about my physical self, and my soul's self is trying to expand and accelerate itself through the vessel that is my body, right? So if I'm feeling something that does not feel pleasant, it feels uncomfortable, like there's levels to pain and suffering and grief, right? There's levels to it. There's truly levels. Discomfort is a beautiful challenge. It allows us to explore. Discomfort comes up naturally because we're gonna make things comfortable for ourselves, right? So when discomfort shows up naturally, I feel like that's like the first level of like grief and suffering, right? Discomfort, because it's uncomfortable, right? And this is where maybe something isn't flowing as smoothly as it once was, or you're hitting all the red lights, or you lost some money, or your phone's glitching, or just something strange, right? Someone's giving you trouble outside on the street, right? That's a challenge. Those things I view as a very, very, it fills me with a little bit of passion, a little bit of lust for life, like in a way that allows me to feel challenged. Challenge naturally is a pleasant thing for me because it's almost like I take pleasure in improving myself and sharpening myself. I'm a Virgo. That's what it is. I have a lot of Virgo placements, and that just is what it is, right? So bam, that's the relationship I began to have with challenge when I mean, with discomfort. When I was younger, it used to, I don't know, discomfort would just it would force me to go seek out comfort. And it would just be kind of, it forced me to be a little bit impulsive. I wasn't always coming up with the best, like, solutions to the discomfort. Um, But, I mean, I would never do anything too crazy or anything. It would just be like, I don't know, let me go spend all my money on shoes, something dumb, something just really dumb, or let me go, exercise, like over exercise and like injure myself, right? Just something, right? So the next like level, I'll let's see what the next level can be. So let's say discomfort. We'll say like heartbreak, right? Disappointment and heartbreak. So, disappointment and heartbreak, that's the kind of thing where obviously when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and feel things and they go differently, or something we really wanted didn't pan out, it's heartbreaking, it's disappointing. That stuff I view as an opportunity nowadays, right? I'll say now in the present, this is how I view it. And I think touching on the present versus the past is just important for driving my point. But in the present, I view heartbreak and disappointment as an opportunity to feel emotions, right? Allow myself to feel them, learn from them, be inspired by them, um, feel them. I'm living. So it's nice to just be able to feel for me. Honestly, it does. And also, it, you know, it's a I get to exercise my ability to transmute. So like I said, I take what I've learned from the situation, memories that I treasured, feelings that I got if it was just an opportunity or something I wanted that didn't pan out, and then just take what I learned and move on and realize that I've grown from it, big or small. I used to have a very different relationship with heartbreak and disappointment. Disappointment for me in the past, I used to just honestly, it either wouldn't affect me at all because that's just the kind of person I am. I'm not like I'll just be like fine with like rejection and just, I've always kind of been that way. But then I've always also had this like anxious attachment to certain things. Like if I wanted it really bad or if it meant a lot to me, I would anxiously hold on to it because that was when I was dealing with more of like abandonment issues when I was little, when I was just a bit younger than now. Um, and this wasn't too long ago, guys. This is like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. But yeah, so that's where I've gotten with that type of thing. And heartbreak, it's affected me so much because I've learned myself so much through the other people that I've allowed myself to love and like. I love love. I fall in love very easily with a soul. I see past their body, I see past all of that, and I see their soul and I fall in love. And when I look back on all these moments that I've experienced that, I never really truly regret the person that I felt things for, even if I look back on it, I'm like, "Ooh, what the fuck was I thinking?" Right? Because we always have I ain't gonna lie, I have those moments, like, why would I ever date that person? Da, da. But then it's just like, that's like what I'm saying. I fell in love with their soul. That's not like some people just can't fathom what that means, and it's not so deep. Oh, I was so in love. I would have gave my all. Like no, it's just like I love them. It's not hard for me to love because I have so much of it within me, and I recognize all the levels and shades of love, being in love and loving your family. It's just that's just those are basic ways to look at love, basic as hell. But anyways, like those grew me a lot just because I realized without even knowing at some points that I was the mirror that I was getting from that person was like causing the love to feel so strong. And it's not me saying, oh, I just love myself, parts of myself that I saw through that person. No, it's part of that is it. But the other part is more so like, I mean, shit, like, y'all, come on. I'm so annoyed by my throat chakra trying to like shut down on me, but I'm not gonna allow it to happen. I'm just not, all right? So, as I was saying, my ability to love people through their faults, truly, unconditionally, I didn't always realize it, but I don't know. It's what my soul was needing because I was scorned. I think deep, deep on a soul level, like from past lives and stuff. So I feel like this life I've really been able to reclaim my emotions, my emotional body, or the way that I feel things when I am incarnated into a body, or process what's within my soul's memory, right? There's some stuff in there that's just, that just has to that's just coming out naturally. And I think that was those slugs, that was that bug that was in me that's like dying to get out. I let out some stuff, and what came out was like, "You're safe now. You're okay. It's okay now. It's okay. It's okay. You're safe now." And I had no idea that was within me. Like, it's not that I had no idea, I could have guessed, but I thought that I had healed that feeling enough within me for it not to be, like, so present, so nagging within me, like a bug that just needs to get out, like, I'm telling you, like that scene in The Matrix. Now, I wanna touch on grief, and the highest level of grief I think I've ever felt was, one, during a near-death experience that I experienced maybe 3 years ago now, where I got really injured and I really did almost die, or I did die and I was I came back into my body, but either way it goes, that's not neither here or there. But grief when I lost my mother, I think that was the most pain that I think I've ever felt in this life, and I'll tell you why. My mother, like obviously, us humans, we love our mothers. Our mothers made us, they birthed us, right? We have a strong love and connection to our mother. It's our vessel. It's that person that came before us whose body made our body, who nurtured us, loved us. Everyone don't have that relationship with their mother, but I did, okay? My mom was like my best friend because she always wanted to have a girl. So before she had me, she had two boys. But she always wanted to have a girl. So of course that should tell you a lot. I'm the only girl. I have three brothers. I'm the only girl. So she really did treat me kind of like a Barbie doll. And she wanted me to be that. And when she saw that I was so much more complex, like early on, like when I was like 2 years old still, when kids should be talking, I wasn't talking all that much. And I was doing a whole lot of staring and analyzing, like, and whenever I was away from her, I would just cry so much. And this is what my family told me. This is what she told me. And instead of making me feel strange or making me feel like I wasn't representing her in the way she wanted me to. Not only did she love me for just how as I was, but she wanted to protect me from people who wanted to roughen me or be harsh to me or judge me or harshly criticize me. She just did not allow any of that to touch me. She was like, and it's crazy because I didn't really realize all of this, what I'm saying until now, but truly, like that was the love that she had for me was so potent that she still has as a spirit. I feel her every day. I commune with her daily. It was so potent. So what I'm saying is she planted such a fat, juicy seed of love within me. It's just there, right? So I'm not sure what that has to do with okay, that's what I was getting at. My bad, y'all. So that explains the grief that I felt when I lost her. I've touched on this story few times because the way that it happened was just so fast and so abrupt, like such a gut punch. It doesn't even make any sense. So when my mom passed away, like I've said before, like I was upstairs in our townhouse apartment, and she was in the living room with some friends, and she was eating when she out of nowhere just collapsed. And uh, it's like as soon as it happened, I heard a little bit of commotion downstairs, but as soon as it happened, I knew exactly what happened. And it took her maybe a good, like, actually 10 to 15 minutes to, like, actually, not 10 to 15, but maybe like, well, maybe 10. I don't know what time. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't know what the time span was. It just wasn't a lot of time. It took her a while to like actually pass on. But when it was happening, when life was trying to leave her body and she was trying to be resuscitated by her friends and they're calling the ambulance and da da da, I was upstairs and I went into a state of shock. And I remained in a state of shock for maybe, I want to say, about maybe a good solid like 9 months after that. 9 months. And how I know it was a state of shock because I was highly functioning, but I literally don't recall having any genuine feelings during that entire 9 months. None. I couldn't. And even after that 9 months, like, years after that, I struggled to feel emotion the same way afterward because the way that I experienced it was mostly with my mother and just, like, other people that I've, like, formed a connection with, but her passing pretty much let me know immediately that my entire life would change. So whatever little connections I made, whatever I forged for myself in this life, even as a teenager, it was I was so aware of what I was doing that I just knew that it was all gonna crumble down. But and the thing about it is, guys, is pretty much what I'm getting at is that when I began to feel again, which was years after, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, my grieving process with that was a very long time. But I wanna say, uh, in about she my mom passed away in, like, 2000 in 2012. The moment that I'm explaining is the grief that forced me into a different space in my life, and that is the meat of why we're here today, folks, okay? So just bear with me. I hope that you guys are appreciating this, discourse. But, well, it's more so me talking to you, so I don't know if to call it a discourse, but, in a way, I guess it could be seen as that. But anyways, from 2012, and we'll call this circa 2016, right? 2016, or not 16, but actually 17, the spring of 2017. Okay, keep that in your ear. I'm telling that to myself because the way that my mind is working, like thoughts keep leaving my head. But anyways, I my relationship to grief changed in this year at this time. And I don't know what it was about this year and this time, but it definitely hit me like a ton of bricks. Everything that was happening at this time. I was really depressed. Like I said, I was coming back into, I was unthawing, let's call it that, from 2012 all the way to 2017. So 5 years, I was thawing out. My emotions were thawing out. I was slowly starting to be able to feel things again because I started to feel innocent love towards a person that I met when I was in uni. And not only them, but groups of friends. Uh, I was meeting so many people in my university that I genuinely felt connected to, and I didn't even care if they were around for a long time. I just didn't care. I just cared about the good time, you know what I'm saying? And at this time, I was very depressed, but like I said, I was highly functioning. Sometimes, but it's like at this point, it, it's like my highly functioning was like skidding and like crashing to the ground. So I was either highly functioning or not, like not. So it started to look like kind of wonky. But I'll say that once me and this person like split up and like my life kind of changed a little bit, it wasn't a big deal, but I started to get a little bit fall into kind of more negative habits because this person like blindsided me. We were having a very innocent, open, like joyous connection. We both were very independent and free to do us. And we came together. It just felt very magical and free. And I found out that this person literally was living a whole double life where they were completely different and doing completely different things, and also doing things that was completely in betrayal to me and what we had going on. um it was just it was terrible. Of like, it was just betrayal, and that's what I'm saying. I've faced so much betrayal in this life. At some point, I just started to look at it logically. Like, what is the reason for this? Like, why is it that people literally come in my life? They could be anyone, and then they would just end up feeling the need to be so betraying towards me. Like, and it's a obvious. Will always be so obvious. If I would tell you guys some of the stories, which I won't, not at this moment, not at this time. This ain't the time for none of that. There will come a time for that later in life. But you guys won't believe me when I do tell you. It's always some bizarre shit. And I realized that there was one, I had a lot of boundaries to work on, and two, I think that I was being forced to kind of like have better for myself. But let me get back to this grief, okay? So around this time, I broke things off with this person. I started to fall into these bad habits again, and that included a lot of drugs and drinking. And when I say drugs, I was mostly addicted to downers at this time. I would take uppers and stuff when I was out partying and traveling and doing those kind of things, raving and road trips, all that kind of craziness. And I was addicted to downers mostly when I was at home, just kinda, like, hanging out with myself or with my cat or, whatever. That's what I would do, and I would just make music and just be a real, like, grunge person, right? And in that time, I had came across a person that I thought somebody was really cool to hang out with. They had a kinda lifestyle that was very glamorous looking to me at the time to just be involved with somebody who had always had access to, like drugs and like um people and the fast life. And in that interaction, I got like terribly assaulted by the person. And that situation, it was like what is it? The straw that broke the camel's back? Is that what the saying is? And I literally urge you guys so much. Some of you guys are gonna feel things for me because you know me and you love me and you've been here with me, but I'm not telling this story for sympathy, okay? It is so that you guys can get a perspective of grief through my personal experience and hopefully learn something that can help you or help you understand others in your everyday life. And I'm just having faith that all of this is clear to you. So that's why I'm just allowing myself to kind of naturally just like channel this out. Okay. So, anyways, this situation was the straw that broke the camel's back because I just could not understand. I could not fathom my soul went into a space of pure flight and confusion. Not even flight, it was definitely fight and confusion because I felt like there was something trying to like almost like beat beat me emotionally, spiritually, beat me down, like beat the hope out of me, beat the 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 fucking the goodness, the love just clean out of me. And I really decided with that I just did not want to be in this human life anymore. I was like, this cannot be, like, it just didn't make sense to me. I'm trying to explain how my brain was processing this because I know somebody may relate. And I think that these things are just important for us to kind of get into somewhere in some corner of this world, right? So, with that being said, um, I genuinely considered that. I did. I did. I wasn't sad about it. I didn't care who was sad about it. I didn't feel real. It felt there's a certain level of like trauma that sends you almost out of your body. Like honestly, it does. So, you know, in that time I pretty much decided not to do it, obviously, because I'm still here. What's up? But the reason was because I just didn't want to cause anyone else around me like trauma. But how I processed the grief and the suffering, what it did, you remember what I said when I was younger, right? Let's take it back to my younger days. I would just leave my house, say, Mom, I'm about to go hang out with so and so. My mom really trusts me. We had a very special, interesting, evolved connection. She knew that I wasn't out here doing crazy stuff because that just wasn't me. If I was gonna go do something, that's exactly what I was gonna go do. And it was always something pretty much so wholesome, even if it was like spending all my money or whatever, right? Um, Trying to get somewhere on the bus and then knowing damn well I don't know how to ride the bus, shit like that, right? So that's what I would do when I was younger. But at this time, those reckless things that I would go do from sadness, trying to escape sadness, sent myself into more despair, right? So choosing to stay alive instead of making the choice to unalive myself, I pretty much I I forced myself into a whole another like space of being. I needed quick change, and my heart, my soul was driving my vessel to safety, right? Driving me to safety. I contacted a friend I met at uni. We started to connect more, a spiritual friend that I was very close to. Me and her actually ended up doing some very powerful exercises with one another and learning that we had a very deep and loving soul connection. And we actually fell in love as well. And she is who I moved out here to LA with back in 2017 in September 12th, 2017. We moved to LA together. And that's where grief drove me. So grief is really like a very strong power. Something that I really want to touch on with this series, especially when the series becomes more evolved, because right now it's just blacked out. But I actually have some really cool plans of how this whole thing could evolve to become a lot more stimulating and interactive, and straight to the point as well. But I have to give myself a little bit time to grow, right? So, anyways, grief and sadness is a driver, it's a friend, it's somebody who's going to pick you up and pull you and take your hand and say, look, you got to decide right now what you need to do for yourself right now. And what I was saying was, thank you, self, for reminding me, higher self, right? I really want to touch on how those lower emotions, those darker, lower, ickier, lower vibrational emotions that we feel in our the basement of our being, right? The cellar of our being, our inner hell, our inner where our inner demons hang out, that kind of where those emotions tend to kind of stem from. Those can be used, those are powerful, potent tools of transmutation energy. You can take shame and grief and suffering and literally force yourself into a new state of being through the power of transmutation. Maybe I should have called this video The Power of Transmutation, but we can do another video on that because the point is in the grief and in the sadness, the loss, the shame, all of those types of feelings. The ones that keep us awake at night, the ones that cause us so much anxiety, the ones that make our heart rate for no reason, the ones that make us irritated and ill functioning and dis-ease and unwell, sickly and tired and drained and confused, irritable, if I haven't said it already. And this is something that I've been practicing for myself, and I've been finding a lot of success. And I think that it's important for me to share these things that I'm doing, that I'm finding success with, because I'm taking what's already existing, what already is, the matter that is already there, and I am transforming it into something different. I found the potency of it. It really drives me, but you have to seek it out. You have to sit with it. You have to feel it. Just like I said, when you start to get used to pain and you start to feel it differently, you have to be present with you. You have to be there with it, one with it. It's like when a woman is giving birth and you'll hear her like scream and squeeze something and yell and curse. She's taking the pain and she is transmuting it into power to force that little critter out of that cervix. That was a weird example, but it's okay. I don't know. It's just sitting in that feeling is such an uncomfortable thing to do. But if you just ask it what it is, I know that sounds so weird, but I'm getting better at doing that type of stuff. sometimes the feeling is just so uncomfortable where I can't even be present with it in my body because my vibration is personally like it's so strange because my vibration will be so high, like I'll feel so good inside, and I'm wondering like, okay, why am I struggling to stay present? Like, why am I getting anxious for no reason? Why is my heart rate so high? Like, why am I fidgeting? What is this feeling at the pit of my stomach? Virgo, we rule the digestive system, so we feel everything. If our digestive system is sensitive, it's like we know something is off. And, I'll sit there and squirm around for the longest time before I say, what pain, what are you? What are you discomfort? What is this? And I have to sit there and listen. I have to sit there and feel it. Where is this inside my body? Like, what is this? And then I try to seek out signs. I try to do a number of different things, but there's power in those negative emotions, y'all. They force us to make a decision about our life if we're going to stay there and keep feeling it. Because I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not a person who's going to sit there and feel it too long. I don't like it. I'm not going to sit there. I can't after the grieving my mom, like I can't imagine grieving something else like that, if I'm being honest. Like I've grieved a lot of different things in a lot of different ways, but that was that one thing. Once I made it out of that hole, I was like, yeah, nothing can ever take me back to such a place. And so every time I realize just how negatively something is affecting me and putting me in a path or on a road or in a space where I don't feel good literally in any type of way, once I see what it is and discover it and pull that mask off and uncover it, it drives me to change. It drives me to something different. And the difference between a lot of us is sometimes people drive themselves to just the same things that they always do to soothe themselves. Because all that they may be ready for is a little bit of self-soothing, just some soothing. Everybody isn't ready to push so much further past it to where they're in a whole new type of life, a better one for them, one that feels better for their soul. Sometimes people are afraid; they don't know how. They don't. It's I don't know what that could be like for others because I just when I was there, all I know is when I was in it, I had to really just like feel it until I didn't want to feel it anymore. So grief is going to show up and show up and show up until you literally transform your relationship with it. And at some point, I kid you not, it's just not really going to hit the same to where it feels like it's controlling you and it's winning in a fucking wrestle. It's winning in an arm wrestle fight. It's not going to be like the ocean pulling you down. It's going to be like you're in the ocean with a surfboard and you're a fucking pro surfer. You know what I'm saying? Wow, like I don't know. I just know there's power in this message. I'm not sure how far it'll get or who it will go to, but I feel so much power in this message because I really I don't plan. I planned to do this series because it just felt like something that resonated with me, but I don't think about what topic I want to do. It just comes up. That's the purpose of this. I told Spirit this is what I want to do, and this is how Spirit is guiding it. This is a Spirit led thing. This is led by my higher self that is connected to Spirit, my highest self. Wow. Let's see how long I've been here. 43 minutes. That's a minute. I don't know who's here with me, but I thank you for being present with me. I think that I touched on everything that was needed to be discussed. Yeah, guys, like if you're here, I'm just really challenging you to reconnect with grief and loss and sadness. Just reacquaint yourself with it. The next time something makes you uncomfortable, just start off with the uncomfortable things. Examine it, be there with it, sit with it, understand it, become so close and so intimate with it. And disappointment and loss. and then do the same thing for suffering and grief. Honestly, it's one of those things to where once you start doing it, it's like domino effect from there. You can't unsee it once you look at it. You know what I'm saying? And this, I feel like this will be for those who are ready to face these dark emotions in a new way. Because when I was in this space, I just wish that I had somebody tell me with this much love and just like sureness, a rock, to come tell me I had tough love. I had soft love too. But just being able to cut back on a bunch of crazy ass experiences and hear something like this, I mean, I would have loved to hear something like this back in those days. Just something that made sense because everything around me was so fragmented from all the time that I had spent in shock to completely frozen. I'm feeling so emotional even just saying that because at some point in my life, after that whole period of like, when I moved to California, I'll say that's the point where I really started to unthaw. I was like stripped away. I completely was madly in love with my partner at the time, and what my grief and my sadness was driving me towards then was being a fucking star, being a motherfucking rock star, a great partner, somebody who worked hard, and everything that was fleeting from my life was still so confusing me, challenging my ability to look grief and sadness in his fucking face. And when I saw myself began to do that, that's when I knew that it was time for me to start living and feeling again. I've been living and feeling again for the first time since 2017. And that's been 5 years, so I spent 5 years frozen, depressed, and then another 5 years melting and feeling that warmth again. I begged God, "Please, God, help me feel. I wanna feel like a normal person again." And I think tonight, that last little bug that I felt was that last slither of, like, fucking grief that was just inside of me, like a fucking barnacle. It was attached to my solar plexus, threatening my confidence, threatening my voice, threatening the way that I love, the way that I show up, the way that I show up in the world and love people and communicate myself. And I realize it's because the grief is dying tonight. And it made me feel so sick because I haven't felt that in a minute now. Not quite like that. And it's crazy because now that I've gotten it all out, all that sickness I felt in my stomach is gone. My throat chakra feels like it's working fine. And now I just feel like I need to do a good cry. So I'm probably going to get to that and bring this to a close. I just try to make sure I'm here for like at least an hour. Let me read these comments. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome, my love. What's up, my love? H Town. Wow. Wow, I'm so, so touched that this resonated for you because I really didn't know where this message was coming from, but my higher self knows best. I'm still processing it even all day. I've just been really meditating in the spirit and the energy of gratitude because my new way to like face discomfort discomfort and like I said, those kind of lower level kind of emotions like that. So like discomfort, heartbreak, disappointment, those I've been feeling a lot of just kind of on and off. Like that's just regular life shit that's gonna pop up every day. But today, I'll like, well, not today. For a minute now, for a long time now, I've been facing those feelings with like gratitude. Like, you know what? I'm grateful that I even get a chance to practice this type of stuff. I'm grateful that I didn't get that because now I'm going to get what I'm supposed to get and da da da. You know, it sounds like bullshit when you're saying this to yourself, but I strongly believe in fake it till you make it. Just fake the shit until you actually believe it. Because once your soul is tired enough, you'll do whatever the hell you have to do to come up out of that nasty ass, gross ass, dark place that the world kind of forces you in when you are traumatized by life events. It's crazy. I'm just like, I don't even know, but that moment that you feel that, chase it with everything in you because you are literally gonna get there quicker than you think. I I don't have anything else to say. Everything has been said. Everything is as it should be and will be what it needs to be. And I send all of you so much love and ashe. And I know that the way that you guys process the things that come up for your life will eventually start to feel and look a whole lot different and a whole lot clearer to you. If you have any type of longing to feel inside of you, to like truly feel from your heart, which is a scary thing for us to do. It is. It's scary. I realized today in my body I wasn't feeling safe. I wasn't feeling comfortable to just lay here. Like every time I try to get comfortable in the past 2 days, I feel like something is just gonna like fucking come, just like I don't know, like just I'm trying to think of a word, just like obliterate me, just like completely, like, it's this feeling of like um imminent danger or something, or imminent doom. And that is definitely a PTSD kind of like side effect thing. But I mean, dude, when that stuff is coming at you like randomly as hell, you know it has to be a reason for it. Y'all, don't be out here getting caught slipping in this spiritual warfare ass time because I mean, dude, you can't, well, you can, but if you just continue to allow yourself to be driven towards not the greatest things from your grief and suffering and loss, eventually it's gonna hit your ass like a ton of bricks, a huge wake up call, and you're gonna be forced to do something, okay? So when you're faced with a decision about if you wanna stay or go, be alive or unalive, or this or that, just know that when you face that point and you make that decision, everything that happens to you after that is exactly what needs to happen to lead you exactly where you need to go. So if you're going deeper and deeper into the trenches, it's because you need to go as far into suffering and grief as possible. Your soul needs to, so that you can really decide whether you value your life or not. That's important. I talked about this in the Who to Answer to video. Was it the Who to Answer to video, or it could have been the video right before this one? Either way it goes, it doesn't matter. My point is, once you get to that point where you're questioning which way you want to go, just make sure it's a wise decision, okay? That's what I'm going to leave you with. Love to you. I'll see you in the next one, y'all. Peace.